Have you ever smelled a perfume that you wore in 7th grade and suddenly all your memories from middle school come flooding back to you? Or have you ever heard a song you used to listen to as a child and all of a sudden you remember all the fun times that you had during that time? This is known as nostalgia, and most everyone has experienced this at some point in their lifetime. So, nostalgia starts in your hippocampus. Here is where all of your information is stored. Whenever you experience any event, your information goes to the hippocampus, and without this, you would not be able to experience nostalgia because you would never be able to remember anything at all. After that, it goes to your amygdala. This is a part that is closely related to your hippocampus, and it stores all of the emotions that you feel during an event. This is really important because without this, you wouldn't be able to experience nostalgia either, because nostalgia is often related to your emotions during an event rather than the things that happened during this memory. What it is good for. Nostalgia is good for boosting someone's mood. Most often, you experience nostalgia more whenever you're going through a difficult time because it can usually bring you back to happier times. And there have been several studies shown where when someone has nostalgia, their mood increases and it boosts and it makes everyone happier. Smell is a very important factor when it comes to nostalgia because it is one of the most common reasons for having nostalgia. This is smell, like the smell nostalgia is also known as odor-evoked autobiographical memory. The olfactory cortex is where the smell initially goes. This goes with any smell, not just nostalgia. But after that, it will either go to the orbital cortex or the left inferior frontal gyrus. When it goes to the orbital cortex, it is most often used for earlier memories from your childhood, like from when you're 7 or younger. And this is usually related to perception. When it goes to the left inferior frontal gyrus, that is usually for later memories in your early adulthood. And this is related to conceptual memories most often. Sound is another really important part of nostalgia because I know for myself, if I hear a song that I listened to freshman year, I'm going to remember all of the memories and how I felt during that year and when I was listening to that song. So when any song is heard, it first goes to your auditory cortex. This is triggered when you're listening to any tune whatsoever. After that, the way you listen to that tune depicts how your brain's going to respond to the song. But whenever your brain is triggered by this and you remember something, like a memory, it goes to your prefrontal cortex, and this is where you will have nostalgia because it will remind you of your memories that you had. Nostalgia is really important for a lot of reasons. Of course, like I already said, it can help boost people's mood whenever they're going through a rough time. But nostalgia also helps people, even when you're happy, it helps you remember good times whenever you were younger and more carefree. And it can help you relate things to later life and help you give advice to yourself for later because you'll be able to remember things you've done in the past and how you can better yourself because of that. So nostalgia is very important, and it's also really interesting. And this research project was really interesting because I've always found nostalgia to be really interesting. I've always wondered how our brain works when we have nostalgia. So as a psychology major, of course, I chose this as my subject because because just recently, actually, I was listening to a song and I was like, what in your brain makes you think of a memory related to this song? So that's why I chose to do my presentation based on nostalgia because I think it's so interesting and I think everyone should learn where it comes from.